Welcome to the 118th Wednesday afternoon Brooklyn Rail poetry reading, as well as the 727th episode of the somewhat new social environment. Today's reading is called I Won't Be at the Reading, which is possibly what all the readings should be called from now on. And this reading is curated by Tony Iantosca, who's going to be reading along with Natalee Cruz, Lisa Rogal, and Dimitra Ioannou. Lisa will read first, and I'll introduce her in just a second. Before we get started, if you haven't been to one of these readings before, you might like to pay attention to the chat as the readers come on. There'll be information about what they're up to, their publications, and various endeavors to complement the basic bio information we'll use to introduce them. And there'll also be some information about the Brooklyn Rail. We do this reading series every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. My name is Anselm Berrigan. I'm the poetry editor, and I work on this series along with the terrific staff here. And I am never at the reading. We're going to start with Lisa Rogal. She's a poet and teacher living in Brooklyn. She's the author of La Belle Indifference from Cuneiform Press, 2020. Feed Me Weird Things, which was published by Ugly Duckling Presse in 2017. Morning Ritual from United Artists Books, and The New Realities. Please welcome Lisa Rogal to the Rail series.
Hi, thank you, Anselm. Thanks, Tony, for asking me to read, and Carolyn and fellow readers. I'm excited to hear you guys. So I'm going to read a couple of poems. Well, they're all poems, but I'm going to read a couple of like more poem-y sounding poems, and then I'm going to read this other thing that's like a long something. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay. I kind of feel like I'm not at the reading right now. It's very bizarre to be sitting in next to a crib and doing this, but I'm happy to be. Okay. How do you do it? Just so you do it just as I like that. There is nowhere to go but here, so why not be here, just where I want to be, to do just what I want, as any man does. Ages hence, a fence between us is not enough to keep me still, ha, ha, easy as a star. You'll think of something. The lonely tree of my dreams comes at me, into my head like a baby. Willow in the sky, green little, white little, flickering. What is a human supposed to do? I have been given the yellow flowers for the afternoon, so maybe I won't die. Then there will be another day with all the light and color deep inside and me swimming on through. So those were the poem-y poems. And this is called The People Between Us. The real story is the people that exist between us. A once unreal and the most real thing, a world among us that we never see. They are responsible for connecting the messages between us. A telephone system, a fungi mother, a wireless signal, surrounding yet unseen. The people between us want us to pay attention. They are the fields of people waiting to be seen. They feel hurt, unheard, created, and discarded. Without us, they would not exist. And vice versa. We are often our own selves and the selves we see across the way, on the couch, across the table, on the other side of the bed, in the passengers, the self listening to us talk, interrupting us, having sex with us, laughing or telling a joke, the counterpart, the mirrored self. The people between us get plopped out and used. They are tired and ghostly thin. There is a wisp of their presence, but we ignore it mostly. Anyhow, we go on wondering why things are not working out for us. Not just the relationship we once adored or the brotherly affection we've lost, or the stalemate between parent and child, or why our dog won't cooperate on leash, but the whole world doesn't seem to be working right. We do one thing and think we walk away unharmed. We feel we've won, a dig landed, a glare, or we simply speed by a slow-moving car. We don't realize we are creating people everywhere we go and abandoning them to their fate, which is our fate. The environment is dying, we know that, but somehow we don't care. Maybe we see, but we don't know what we should do. We don't know how. We cannot make things happen. We are stuck in the mud of disagreement. No one will budge. No one will see each other. It is the people between that allow us to see each other. We need to see each other now, or we will not survive. Some questions. Are there people between us? Yes. Is God between? No. Are the people God? No. What are the people? Yes. Are the people our souls? No. Are they their own people made from our souls? No. Are they their own people made from our relating to one another? Yes. So they are our children? No. Are they born from us? No. Are they the combination of our souls in contact with other souls? Yes. Do we have souls? No. Do we have something? Yes. This is confusing. Yes. Are the people between us immortal? No. So they die? No. Do they have souls? No. Are our souls their souls? Yes. When we die, they die? No. When we die, they stop existing? Yes. Do they want us to die? No. Are they angry with us? Yes. Do they want us to notice them? Yes. So that we can be better? No. So that we can help their lives be better? No. So that we understand why they exist? Yes. Do we need to see each other now or we will not survive? Yes. Is survival the most important thing? No. So dying isn't the worst thing? No. There are worse things than dying? No. Is that because everything is equal? No. Is that because suffering is worse than dying? No. Is there a satisfying answer? Yes. Will I be able to find it? No. The waterfall. A group of us go in 2 cars to the waterfall. The same uninterrupted sadness. Gray waterfall. Great. They aren't there as expected. The animals come when we're sleeping, take turns bathing, refuse to be seen, living a fantasy for the internet, return, an empty apartment, a difficult time, the afternoon. The animals don't speak. They don't speak. I love that they don't speak. They won't speak to us. We have a problem, the listening wind, little birds or trees up high, away from us, everything better away from us. What does it mean? It's unspeakable. Some questions. Are there things we can't speak about? Yes. Because it's wrong? No. Because we are wrong? No. Because words are wrong? Yes. Because the words are morally wrong? No. Because the words are the wrong things for it? Yes. Is this why I like the quiet? No. Are you always right? No. Can words do something to help us? No. Then why am I trying to write? Yes. Am I always trying to say something unspeakable? Yes. Because the unspeakable is life? No. Because the unspeakable is inside me? Yes. Should I be worried about this? No. When it comes to the unspeakable, is it always better to try? No. Is it sometimes better to try? No. Is trying the wrong word? Yes. Does speaking make us human? No. Does speaking create the people between us? No. Does it interfere with the people between us? No. Are we more aware of the people between us when we aren't speaking? Yes. Is this why I like quiet? No. Stroke. There are some words I can't get out. They are inside me, but they want to be out between us. Just between us, they're stuck. Somewhere near the sternum, a stroke of luck. The bad things that happen create people too. The people between are largely made by the bad things that happen. There is greater need for them here in the space of the bad thing. The bad thing that happened struck me. We can call it lucky. That is what the people between might like. Everyone wants to be wanted, to be lucky, to be liked. I can't help it. I'd rather rewrite history, though I don't know what would happen. The story of life is too unwieldy. I can't hold it. I need the people between to hold it for me so I can keep going. I like the idea of people there holding the place where the bad thing happened, a bandage or a witness, a stroke of insight, a strike, struck by lightning, not in the good way, a striking scene that shakes the brain into submission. I feel a need like no other to speak to the people between. Friends. I'm in a fight with my friends, but they don't know it yet. There are several people forming between each of us. We are all living our lives, just going on and on. There's so much to do. Where is the cushion of time to carry us off? We are oldish now, waiting for the next big thing. Parts of life are so still I can't feel them moving, or they are fast and big planets spinning and we can't feel the spin. We can't feel each other because it's winter and our hands are cold or covered in fabric and we're all sick. We're worried about the future. We fight about the future. What are we supposed to do? We build little rafts. We all have different ideas, different materials. I'd rather go down with the ship, perhaps. Is that a bad habit? Maybe I burnt my wick. I always think of Emily, hopeless and strong. I love to see the little faces on my friends. They are burned into my head. They don't even know it. Me. There was a man smiling at me from behind the glass. I don't know why. Then I looked and he was gone. I felt sad. I liked being watched like that, knowing someone was watching and amused without my having to interact. The glass is nice for that. He was gone and now he's back. Or no, it's a woman with short hair who looks delicate and fair and not at all how I feel. I see now it's a teenage boy or a woman who looks like a teenage boy. A woman reaches into my shirt to fix the tag, which is flipped to the outside. Her fingers brush my skin. I don't care about the tag, and I don't like being touched like that. She says, sorry, it's the mother in me, and it hurts because I've built myself to not need what I want. Just get by from stone to stone. There are gaps in the floor where I skipped a few steps. Can't go back, can't go back. Just get on by. I'm clumsy. I am messy. I spill a little coffee on myself each day. My hands move erratically because I'm thinking too much. Some of my clothes have holes in them, and my hair gets wild, and when I eat, the food goes on my chin. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. By the way, I spent the entire fall of 2020 teaching on the floor of my younger daughter's room, so I understand your physical situation. Our next reader is going to be Natalee Cruz. Natalee is a poet and fiction writer based in Brooklyn. Her chapbook, I Have Seen the Bluest Blue, was published in March of last year by Ugly Duckling Presse. Her work has been featured in many publications, including Electric Literature and The Spectacle. She's a teaching artist through Teachers and Writers Collective and is an MFA candidate in poetry and fiction at the New School. Please welcome Natalee to the Rail Reading.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me and thank you for inviting me. I'm going to be reading from a few poems from my chapbook. They build off of one another. They're in the epistolary form. So the first half of the book starts with the same title, which is To Whom It May Concern. And you will hear a lot of things repeated. Anyways, okay. So number 1, To Whom It May Concern. I'm writing this letter on behalf of Pedro Cruz Garcia. I have known Pedro for over a decade. Pedro has been working for me full-time ever since I opened my own practice. He is a very honest and dependable person. I'm very grateful to have him as an employee and a friend. Ever since his wife went back to Mexico, he has been quite down. He is not as happy as he was. When Gude was here, Pedro used to love lifting weight after work, but he has told me that he is too depressed to do anything. He is doing everything he can to bring his wife back. Gude has been gone for over a year now. I hope and pray that she can come back to be with her husband soon. Four, To Whom It May Concern. I asked for this letter and watched the evolution in the best interests of Gudelina Cruz. I have loved this name for countless moons. I have been worrying for her full time, and I won't stop. I've searched for a God in this. She is a tender, earnest, and kind woman. I am obligated to plead as a husband and a friend. Since my wife was forced to Mexico, I didn't know the blues could be so cold. She says she doesn't have as much will as before. When my reina Gude was in my arms, we used to love, to smile, but she has confessed, I am blue, and insisted, I love you. I am doing everything in my fingertips and my prayer to bring back my wife. Gude left ages ago. Now, I hope and I pray she be given permission to be with me. We made a promise to love. I am a man of my word. Nine, To Whom It May Concern. I am coming up with an excuse. It's natural to do so. I have grown accustomed to the cold. What's that they say about the cold? I have been floating. To understand a morsel of your understanding, the logic is too steep. Where does the translation intersect? My eye is a very tired and sinking swimmer. I am forced to wade through the sand castles and the monuments as a husband and a friend. Since my wife was deemed a criminal, I have seen what it means to be evil. A crooked lawyer sees her head and calls it opportunity. The judge can decipher the depth. Why, my heart, my partner, asking for a chance in the greater dream? We used to dream together. To embrace the open waters when our families had shared, I'm proud of you, and then admitted, I miss you. I am doing everything. The family will need more. America always recommends more. My wife's body has been taken to a dock I said my saludos to ages ago, before now. I revisit and I reevaluate to the lawyer who tricked my wife. Life as a parasite is lonely once you've consumed your host. So this is the second part of the chapbook. It switches perspectives. So the first is written in the voice of my father, and the second is supposed to be in the voice of his wife, who was deported back to Mexico. 10, Your Honor. May it so please the court. I would like to state my case. I am a wife, left to be intimate with the cold side of the bed, who left a country only to be thrown back in the buzzing trenches. My sister's arms are not my husband's. My nephew's hands are not my grandchildren's. When Luis Miguel sings Feliz, Feliz within the walls of my sister's home, I don't understand. I have lost the ear for a trumpet's delight. the sway of a song my husband loves to sing. May it so please the court. My husband is alone, singing in karaoke bars, surrounded by paisanos and borrachos, at tables with buckets of coronas. I'm tired of knitting pillowcases, painting shades of rosa on my nails since my deportation, but wait first to the courthouse, then rip me from my son's arms, my husband's lips, drop me in the Capitol, engulfed by pink walls, but not a happy pink, a vibrant pink, the pink that screams, don't let me off easy, the kind of pink you see on the bows of school children who walk through familiar streets of Mexico together. The spectacle leaves me coming up for air. These tides have shown me the blue. Who is the sky for without a hand to hold on earth? I would like to state my case. Amor de lejos es amor de pendejos. It's common knowledge. Whose tongue is illegal under the law? Mine stays still like a chameleon. I sit, and I wait. My tongue a tired pillow. When I say, te extraño, mija, what I mean is, every morning I open my eyes and wish I could smell your father's cologne on the sheets. May it so please the court. This is 14. May I side with my walls of arms, they sing truth. I am home without my song. The muted may see paisanos, a kind sky knit by the vibrant silence, the breath, the nucleus, the holy. I felt my lips shut like walls, my corona in a tired warning for the bluest blue. Still, are you mine? Who is without knowledge? I am lejos. I am held in the law. And this is the last poem. And so I'll wait still and so cold, and I won't be told I don't deserve more than a life in the waiting room. I wait because that's all I can do. Wait for the others to see I am a life, blessed to grow under the sun. The soil is stuck to my judicial record. Could you lend me a hand tearing down the walls? I'd rather be the side of a frame, a part of our foundational piece, in the microscope strong enough to see truth. I'd rather be home, tucked away without alarm, tucked in a bed with my husband, listening to the rattle that is the sound of his apnea. May flowers after April showers, I soak my wishes in a dish and place it on the roof. You see, I don't know how else to capture the shared feeling. What kind of people see that we are under the same sky and curse it for its consistency? May those who believe they'd be better without knowing the bluest blue find what makes them the most human and unstitch it. You see, we are roots, we are quilts, we are gathered fabrics of one another, the kind and unkind people. I'm supposed to find comfort in seeing that we are under the same sky. I look at the clouds as I knit by the window. I admire their journey and wish they'd offer a ride. I hum a melody because I'm lovely. The breath of the lonely stays warm behind silent lips. I'm supposed to find comfort that the earth keeps spinning, that the nucleus of my love, that is fate, hovers in the corner of the present like a ghost. I'm supposed to redefine this drought, this haunting on every corner of the life I created for myself. Strip the violence and add your electricity. I turned my power off years ago after learning I'd lose months of time to the mortar within these walls. Could you give me a second? My trust has been broken by those who reign supreme and sleep with whomever they please until morning, when they take to their positions of power, talented, because they can see the scattered blue threads that litter the streets. Do you think they know the meaning behind Who are you? The walls with fresh paint forget to ask what they are covering up. Otreco asks, is this protecting your greater purpose? Do you want my keys to knowledge? I am a woman of words. With every line, I am close to fulfilling. What I mean to say is, I've always held an audience's attention, a class favorite, an agreeable sweetheart. We are united by the hands that mold us out of a desire for another slice of time, the kind of hands that await the death of the everlasting, born of a promise that we will forget the shivers, which run alongside the borders of the blankets enveloping those migrating up and over the border, alongside government sheet metal, burnt by the rising tide of color. And I had just one poem I wanted to read that's an older poem. It's very, very short. And I haven't read it in a reading in a while, so I wanted to give it some life. It's called Hunger. I'll walk with you to the end of the road, but then we should go home. It's been a long date, considering the chemistry, and I've seen the way you look to your right, as if expecting to catch the sun at the moment it starts to set, as if we still tell time by shadow. But maybe you are looking to the sun as a daily reminder that circles are the shape of life and rebirth, of tomorrow influenced by today, of the iris and the cornea, hosts of the retina, which detects the rays in such a way that we never get to see the volcanic tendrils reaching out of the sun's surface. How hypnotizing that would be, to look and instantly see everything in light and in focus. The distance serves as protection, so that you may one day look to your left and see your companion clearly, the one who will walk with you to the end of the road, ask if you're hungry or if you'd like to continue. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Natalee. Our next reader is Dimitra Ioannou. Dimitra experiments with narrative or anti-narrative forms in various media, including language, photography, and publications. Her books Terminal Mimosa and The Mink List are forthcoming in 2023. She's also the author of the chapbook Electric Sarcasm, which UDP published in 2020, and the experimental novella Soy Sea from Futura, Athens. She's had poems published in Still Point Mag, Splinter, MAI, Feminism and Visual Culture, and ZARF, among others. She's exhibited her video poems and photos in solo and group shows in Greece and translated from English into Greek contemporary radical poets. She's also the editor of the journal A Glimpse of, and runs experimental writing workshops called Textlab. Please welcome Dimitra to the Rail.
Thank you, Ansel. Hello, everyone. Many thanks for inviting me. I'm going to read an excerpt from my latest manuscript titled The Mink List. Disinterested in the mega-negative spectacle and the narcissistic marginalia that sustain it, the new mechanism and the pleasantly varied ambience, the 177 underwater headlights, the fresh landscaping, points of toast and points of growth, the institution's red fireworks, the 9 digital steps and part B, rooms come museums where one is always directed to the same spot, diapers never for, the combination of words that constitute a dictatorship, the accusation of incitement to disobedience. Mink is utopia in reverse, the blunt realism of red. Mink is utopia in reverse, the blunt realism of red. Blood whines, howls, roars, hisses, and snorts in post-velvet empires. Are you listening? This is a disruption. The animal and menstrual blood are historical but not epic, rather a postmodern mix that produces post-velvet songs, Switch the song or repeat the post-velvet gesture. Whether you are harried or idle, that's a post-velvet slogan. If you choose to dismiss it, it will be archived as post-velvet rage. If you choose to back it, you will take part in post-velvet rallies that leave their post-velvet marks throughout memory and the optical fiber passages. A pop star singer come feeder is seeking for pigeons clad in an oversized red fur coat jacket and shorts. She carries their food in the palm of her hand. The streets are safe, and so is she. Her fur is flawless. It speaks louder than her. It speaks of possession as much as containment. Some of the empire's best subjects are posing in eye-catching futility. This leads attackers to the black steel elegant Palomino fantasy, a vast undifferentiated database on brutality and boredom. When the fur industry was asked, "What is Mink?" a spokesperson replied, "Mink is a miniature saint, a move towards an even and regular surface, the access to a more glamorous tale, an investment in discipline and illusion." The same celebrity lounges beside the swimming pool, showing off some extremely rare vintage Mink pieces designed by the renowned artist who launched a postmodern art movement and later revealed the devastating financial impact of COVID-19 on his business. Evidence crackles, rumbles, whistles, and hums in post-velvet realities. Is it dangerous? This is an embarrassment. A post-velvet rumor has it that post-velvet panic is the android inside human animals. And what about transmitting? 5 clusters or none of Mink variants of SARS-CoV-2 are unloaded in military territory. Fancy saints are covered with chalk before another layer of fancy saints is laid, covered again with chalk and then with dirt. There will be no candle marches to commemorate the Mink massacre. The line tracks are disinfected. Mink are fallen saints, victims of their own DNA. When the national government was asked, "What is Mink?" a spokesperson replied, "Mink is a surplus nightmare sent to be slaughtered. A serious virus dug into areas designated by the relevant authorities, 2 or 4 meters deep. Our commercial bones, the tail of the nation." Post-velvet communication transposed words in sensational sequences. Zombie Mink rise from a massive sound of graves. Can you believe it? Decaying gas caused a transnational frisson. Fancy saints get pushed out of the sandy soil. Hundreds out of millions of culled Mink trespass their available space, the nothing in between the orders that eliminated them. Is that posterity without priority? A breeder is holding a living Mink on his lap for a shooting. This is to derive pleasure from. This is to be cast, cleaned, softened, fleshed, and stretched. This is to become a fur sans organ. This is to meet market demands on novel coat color phases. This is to be available to the softness dealers, the professional seducers, the luxury founders. This is to take them out of themselves. This is to attract the viewer, the follower, the other. A couple of mothers are smiling at the future martyr. Comfort is in order, sweetie. Mink give themselves to humans because humans matter. Can they make beauty out of my skin, mommy? Can I become luxury? You can become whatever you want, sweetie, as long as you marvel at abstraction. Dystopias are mass dystopias because that is their substance. Fragments of alienating or self-celebratory speech scrolled across the screen, nihilism at play, cruelty in the margins and in the middle. To speak dystopian, one needs a luxurious vocabulary to reset autocracy in the mind, such as fur-cloaked prophets with silver-blue cross hands, or the platinum topaz heads of Byzantine courtiers. Dystopians make inventories of emotional cages and financial liaisons, so as to annex the history of others to their own political bodies and set apart their own deaths. Not now death, not even later, only the death of others. To third dystopia, one needs a workbook and a knife covered in pink mink roses, or a workbook and a regular office, the ruling class method, injections of chloral hydrate or pentobarbital, water cannons, and high-pressure water sprayers. Dystopias continue to cut clear across and onto the bottom of the totally different nature, isolate fur from flesh, crush the subversive movements, guard the private sector. Extreme dystopias update regularly their daily dystopian content, contaminate turf, wood, soil, and underground water, assault the opponent, cannibalize consciousness. A highly aggressive dystopia is killed and cannibalized by a highly aggressive dystopia in the same closed space. In dystopia, lavish plankton pervade dreams, while nightmares are felt as a hide-and-seek, a clash, or an enclosure. The most effective dystopias touch one's chest. One day dystopia will chew right through my trustworthy bone and pull it out of my trustworthy skin. One day dystopia will strip my wildly trustworthy skin down to my trustworthy hips. One day dystopia will not allow me to exist. Dystopian skills are worthy of attention, while dystopian malaise falls through the wire mesh floor like feces. The smell is persistent. The smell in moral tones. The smell storms. Now take out your dystopian trash and check your dystopian supplies. Dystopias are often crushed by other dystopias while still breathing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitra. Our last reader will be Tony Iantosca, writer and poet living in Brooklyn. His most recent book, Crisis Inquiry, is just out from Ugly Duckling Presse. He's a lecturer in the English department at Kingsborough Community College. I just got the book in the mail. It looks like this. It's terrific. Please welcome Tony.
There we go. Thank you. And thanks to all the readers and to Anselm for allowing me to curate this. I'm going to read from that book. And then, well, actually, I'm just going to read from that book. So that's all. There are some titles, but mostly there are no titles. So if there are titles, I will say them. And that's how you will know. Accumulated violins of the counter-revolution's basic soothe, and I breathe a calculus that says there is no hint This is the thing. Processing the request siphons the shine, and we get made dull, wave and grin across the alleys cold. This carousel is going nowhere. I'm leaving. Not so fast, neuron fiend. A clear throat and good plumbing debut signs of life in the mutual ears these walls hide. But on that basis, the wind cheats, and we're left here watching people hit each other in the face, and there is no channel to change. This is sort of a story. Something happened in poetry. Following this, some wreckage, a few dead bodies, money in and out like tides, and then another important poem got written. Some years then, and then some chains of stuff that seem calm but contain lots of fire, rage just below the ash. A bunch of people got sick and felt better, well enough to write a few poems that could help scare the undercover agents who looked just like all the other poets, same gray, same beige, elastic fade, and then further oration underneath which they could all feel equal as stones. Then they put some people on a plane one after the other until the planes were full or their engines worn out completely, and something else happened, but nobody could really hear the poems because the bombings were loud, except the other poets who were telling the others to shut up and listen. The airplanes came back, and so did magazines, and the people shouted at each other after they were done reading the magazines about which one was the best. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the cities were set on fire, and some might say that was good, or that was poetry enough for a lifetime, or enough in their homes to stand in contrast. The fences were cut, and the grass was short for the first time in the history of the earth, and peasants went to the towns and got food out of the stores in the towns. The poets were probably there too, but what's more important is the effect this all had on the outer limits of the lines the poets were writing, which were ready to break and then be recomposed. Then a computer held the brain in its light, and the banks had children as the poets went to sleep at their desks, and even then something interesting was happening to poetry. We went home after the poetry reading. The train was late, and on the way home, a man with a gun threatened to shoot me. I didn't think I should write a poem about it until now, but I am certain that it happened, even beyond the poem. The poetry these days has found its machine, or the machine aspires to poetry's intrigue and event. I can prove it because there is a recording that quantifies the time the poetry has taken and the time spent not doing something else, like waiting in line for money or riding a bike until the sun comes up and the next day's threat dawns right on time, staring down punctuation with blood on its mind. When it's not like it was, something changes. When something changes, palms sweat the body that's still here. The body still where it was, the bird returns to the handrail until the next panic. The bird being something, it doesn't stay what it was, it dies. Dying being an activity, the body leans backwards in the chair to forget all about that, and the chair as a something cracks and ceases to function. Function or no function, the handrail acquires rust, and the paint falls off and may be mistaken for bird food. Food sold to energy production, it disappears as soon as you see it, and the frames fall into nothing, so you forget they were ever there. I can't remember what happens next. A human and a train meet on a train track. The train track is the train's territory, but it was the human who built it or who lived and breathed in a world built by it. Maybe the human is dead now. There are others who multiply but do not erase it. The human, limbs and organs. The train, an engine with a human in it, some wheels and windows. You know exactly what I'm talking about. These things are interesting in and of themselves, but even more so when they meet on the train track that also the world uses to make itself appear and recede. I just hope nothing bad happens when they meet. Cover your ears. The world's garbage bag is opening, and when we are consumed, we won't know what is inside and what is not. Before. But before that, paint, and before, more before, some illness, a little water, red garments, and before there was too much, there was before, parsing stones to be something someday we could somehow look at, and before that, the annotated lines to which we're bound. A light in the eye before, and a bug in the ear, an alphabet's new letter, which wasn't there before, and heat before, a terrible smell before, a valley, and some coins to deface before we get caught. And before the gas stations where they knock on your window, the answer before was always no. In the instrument, the dark goes silent, and before the before, there should also be an after. Moments the jaw of rust used to sing, an after that should be next, but we haven't talked about that part yet. This is my name. I have strong preferences for this one over that one. I could care less what experience draws me into its path. I don't think there is a path to victory. I think we will always be victorious. I believe only in victory, but not strength, because there is too much pain in that, and pain concerns me. I am unbothered by pain. This is what people call me. Here is how you can find me. There are pictures and relationships within which I am situated. I am uninterested in how I am located, or if I am, or if I will be found. If I'm not, then I am certain that I'm not. I'm not certain of anything, and I'm uninterested in honesty or in being. There aren't any pictures, and relationships are not what's important. In between is what counts, and we're not dumb enough to get stuck being either you or me along the way. The music you may hear along the path is pleasing. I don't like it. The path won't lead you anywhere, and neither will the music. I am nearing the end of the song, and in fact, I find it interesting when someone gives up before finishing the thing they're in the middle of doing. So I think that's what I'll do. This is a poem for Leo Madriz, who's an artist who I know. You should check him out. It would be more interesting to throw a rock at a tree or something than to sit around expanding the edges of our factional ruts with our whining. Think about it. The regulator tells the device to operate according to the optimal solution to a problem that can be constructed from optimal solutions to subproblems, which require a throat's nascent rage. And there is no repetition, since all nodes are leaf nodes, which contain the symbol itself and not the dirt whose time it is to be spat upon on the way to the checkout lane with as many leaves as there are symbols lodged in the wire's unyielding phlegm. Optimal solutions yield pathways that reveal other obstacles that make the solution necessary again. In this way, our yawning feels productive, and we sever the tree from its root structure and throw it at a rock to admire how smart we get to be. The device has needs and must also balance sleep with the destructions that come with being awake, and the body has to be down with all this. Ingestion is a process that allows nutrients and toxins to enter the organism, often at the same time, and sometimes with the same effect, meaning the organism can be simultaneously strengthened and weakened. The body's aches can always be explained, and the information will continue to be useful to future generations whose teeth we don't have time to think about. We change the channel as the sun keeps doing nothing over there. This is the last poem. We're going to end, I hope, on a happy note or something. It's good when your neighbor who lives life on the other side of this wall, when your neighbor calls you on the phone and says she needs help with her cell phone. It might be wet and something is stuck. They hand you a beer when you get there and say, thank you, take this home with you. The sequence of minor events is much more interesting than shockwaves across the mind's back porch, where repetition is everywhere a shockwave. You're only checking for an email and morning is coming. The author you become writing this speaks back and asks what's missing. Gunpowder of a digitized synapse breaks the day's rhythm so that this is a cardboard box and this is a name written on the box. Put your hand on it and you'll know what it is. It feels like fog congealed. What's missing is the short circuit. Gaps fill up with stuff and then become a thing of the past. Watermills in the background of photographs and the people who don't know they're being seen. The relation you used to have with silences between sentences rasps now unreadable grammar and empty space in an otherwise very heavy box. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tony. And thank you, Dimitra, Lisa, Natalie. And thank you, Tony, for putting this together and getting us all in and not in the rooms today. Should we throw open the mics, unmute everybody, and say hello and goodbye and go off into the rest of the so-called day or night, as it were?
Hello and goodbye to the poets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and goodbye.
Thank you, Tony.
For all the great titles.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Dimitra.